I want to start this off the right way. And I've been on YouTube for a long time and I've seen things go left so many times when it didn't have to. And when it's dealing with the two individuals involved, I myself being part of it, Officer Tatum from Arizona being the other part, I don't think that this goes left. I've seen Officer Tatum in many debates with other kinds of, with other individuals, I should say, and he likes to sticks to the facts. So I don't think this is. I think it'd be. I think it'll be more of people who like him that would go crazy or whatever, or maybe people who oppose him who would go crazy if they saw this video, than me and him. He seems like the type I would like to talk to him in real life, diverse our conversate our different ideas in real life. But like when he talks with his hands, and when he talks with his hands like this, I'm looking at that ring, that married finger right there, and seeing, he's a good brother that means well, that it appears to be that he means well. And I so strongly disagree with his viewpoint. So I act off of emotions. So I never planned to make this video. I saw a video pop up and a second video pop up where I feel I have something to add to the conversation to show people I can give you an idea, and I give you an idea so strongly that I could leave it just for a little bit. In that little bit of time that I leave my idea I sold you to, I can make you follow that. Example, I can tell you I'm all about facts, facts, facts. So when I'm giving you all of these facts, I sneak in my opinion that has nothing to do with the facts. And when I do that, you follow that opinion, even though this opinion has nothing to do with the facts I just showed you. So I want to do that with Officer Tatum. Shouts out to my boys Ava and Preach. Ava and Preach went live today. I sent them a question. Anybody who watching my channel know by the time I've covered so many cases with black people in the police or black people dying unjust, same kind of cases that Officer Tatum covers, I was done by the time I reached Ahmaud Arbery. I'm like, it's another case. They're going to get off. I'm going to show you exactly how they're going to get off. And this is, I asked Abraham Preach, when you fought so much and you feel like you're just done, what do you do with that? What is your next step? And this is what Abraham Preach said to me.
Jon Chrymes, appreciate the donation. Fought for Cravon, fought for Filato, fought for both, and fought for Atatiana. Now I only see info on how they'll get off for murder as a black person. Losing hope. Can you shoot words to keep fighting? Amen. Perseverance, bruv. You got to be perseverance. I know when we see all these cases and shit, it's very, very easy to get desensitized and want to tune it out and just to focus on shit you can't control, because it's very frustrating to feel powerless. It's very frustrating to feel powerless in a lot of situations, and I understand that. But if you don't keep fighting, then nothing changes. If we don't get this outrage going, nothing changes. Take Ahmaud Arbery. They were going to sit on that case and kill it. Public got across of it. We got heated. They moved the needle. Now, it's not right and it's not fair that we have to be the ones who watch it on social media for things to improve. I agree with that, man. That being said, right now we only have the tools that are available to us. So until a better solution comes along, we got to do what we got to do.
All right, so that was Abraham Preach giving me motivation, and I appreciate the motivation. And I thought about stuff that had nothing to do with fighting for people's lives. I thought about Michael Jordan in the documentary, The Last Dance. I thought about people who were told no and no and no over again. You sucked at acting, but they kept pursuing it, became a major actor or major this or major that when everybody told them no. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with life and death. And they kept persevering. Why can't I keep persevering on something that means so much for not only what we call a race of the same hominids, but could mean something for all of mankind, since we are all of mankind. Without further ado, I want to get into Officer Tatum's video. Again, Officer Tatum, if you see this, much love and respect. I'm going to do rebuttal the points that you say.
Two guys came in, and one was.
I want to mute this if I can mute this.
Holding a long shot.
I don't. Okay, here we go. I want to mute this until this is over with. Because they're going to. Okay, I can skip the ad right here. All right, here we go.
I don't see body-worn camera footage. I didn't read the case reports. I'm just reading what the reports are. So I'm giving a preliminary statement based on minimal information that I do have. I'm going to give you the synopsis of what happened. I'm going to give you my take on what the officer did, kind of the idea around what officers do in a concept called excited delirium. I'm going to talk to you about what I think George Floyd did and give you my opinion in general. So let's start with the facts. The things that I do know about this case is that Mr. George Floyd was a suspect of a forgery call. It doesn't appear that they knew for a fact it was him. What it seems like is that he matched the description of a person who was involved in some forgery.
I don't know how he knows this. And this is what I'm saying. I ask anyone who loves Officer Tatum and you follow him, you're a big fan of his and you're a big fan of facts or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Officer Tatum's enemy. Once again, this is a dude I would hang out with. He appears to be, even though we have difference of opinion. But I'm asking you, if you're a fan of facts, where is he coming away from this, that this guy matches the description of a suspect? To right now, on May 28th of 2020, where is he finding this information? He said he only sees what the public sees. There's no information to say how the suspect looked at all. He's telling you what the police said, that he's matching the description of a suspect. But he doesn't know this. This is not fact. Let's keep going.
Now, the police were trying to detain him, put him in the back of a police car, pending the investigation. It seems like at some point he had a conflict with the police. He didn't want to get put in the back of the police car.
All right, hold on. We got to start right here. This is where the slippery slope starts. I want you to pay attention, because what he does is take a pinhole and he opens it really wide. He starts this. I want y'all to remember this part of the video. He starts this saying, it seems like this guy resisted arrest. Where does he get that it seems like it from? I would like Officer Tatum to answer that question directly. Where does it seem like he fought? As of right now, on May 28th, it is very important that I say the date, because on May 30th, we can find out that George Floyd swung on all the officers, spitting on them, doing all kind of crazy stuff. That's called new evidence. Every human being should change their mind in lieu of new evidence. But as of May the 28th of 2020, there's only 2 videos out. One video, he's on the ground with a knee on his neck. The next video, they're moving him out of the car, hurting his arm, and putting him on a wall and walking into a car. Neither of the 2 videos that we see as the public, Officer Tatum says he has no other information on this case. So where does he see, or where does he feel that it seems like this person resisted arrest? Now watch how he takes this small thing and spreads it further.
To the fact that he was claustrophobic, it didn't go well. He started resisting arrest. He
didn't. Well, I would be just as guilty as Officer Tatum if I say he didn't. He said he did. I can't say he didn't. The real answer is we don't know. So if we don't know, how can we act as if it happened? Right? Matter of fact, the law is on my side when it comes to George Floyd. You are innocent until proven guilty. There's no evidence as of May 28th to show that he resisted arrest. Why is Officer Tatum suggesting this?
Arrest him, and before you know it, he's on the ground in handcuffs. And at some point, an officer that you can see clearly on the video, and I'm not going to play the video on this particular segment, but you can see clearly on the video that the gentleman has his knee on the man's neck. Now, I'm going off of what I see. Now, there could be some other angle that I didn't see, but from what I see, it looked like his knee is on that man's neck. Now, Obviously, the guy is pleading for air, saying he can't breathe. I mean, clearly he can breathe, but he may have had obstructive breathing, or he may have not been getting enough blood to his brain. I'm not sure, but he was in distress. He's articulating that he's in distress. Whether he's really in distress or not, I mean, who would know but the people there at the scene? But he's articulating at least that he's under distress. He can't breathe, all of these different things. The officer remains with his knee on his neck till the guy passes out. The guy goes unconscious, and the ambulance comes. Now, mind you, the entire time that the guy was pleading that he needed medical attention, they had called the medical staff to arrive at the scene, but he kept his knee on his neck until they fully came to the scene and took him. He died later at the hospital. The gentleman,
I think I need to
George
go back.
Floyd. So let me talk about the police officer.
Hold on, I think I may.
But
need
he's
to go back.
articulating at least that clearly he can breathe, but he may have had obstructive breathing, or he may have not been getting enough blood to his brain. I'm not sure, but he was in distress. He's articulating that he's in distress. Whether he's really in distress or not, I mean, who would know but the...
There we go, right there. That's the part I missed. That made me want to make this video. Officer Tatum says, we don't know if he could breathe or not, or if he was in distress or not. The only people that could know that are on the scene. Officer Tatum, the man is dead. He's dead. He's dead for a forgery check. And don't worry, I'm not going to try to plea on their emotions. I'm going off what you said. You said we don't know. We do know. He's no longer alive. Therefore, what he was complaining about was true. He's dead. I just want to throw that in there.
People there at the scene, but he's articulating at least that he's under distress. He can't breathe, all of these different things. The officer remains with his knee on his neck till the guy passes out. The guy goes unconscious, and the ambulance comes. Now, mind you, the entire time that the guy was pleading that he needed medical attention, they had called the medical staff to arrive at the scene, but he kept his knee on his neck until they fully came to the scene and took him. He died later at the hospital, the gentleman, George Floyd. So let me talk about the police officer. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he was thinking. On my department, we don't train for you to put your knee on somebody's neck. It's not in the training. You put your knee on their shoulder. Maybe it look like it's on their neck, but it's on your shoulder, so you're not obstructing any kind of blood flow or airway. Now, on this particular police department, they do have a use of force justification, or they have a use of force training where you can put your knee on somebody's neck in a non-deadly threat situation. Now, you have to be certified as an officer on that particular department in order to apply that use of force. Now, I don't know if this officer was trained in it or not, but regardless of that, it looks bad. I don't know. In 2020, I'm trying to figure out how this officer, and this is my assessment, thought that even if the man didn't die, thought that looks reasonable at all. That it looks reasonable at all. You got your knee on the man's neck, people videotaping you, the man saying he can't breathe, he passes out, and you still have your knee on his neck, and somehow you think you finna be all right? That ain't happening. That ain't happening. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna make this statement because I want to be very clear. If this officer was not trained in that, and he had his knee on the man's neck, and the man is pleading for his life, and other people can articulate that it was a serious plea, which I think you should take him serious. Even if you know he playing, you should act like you're taking him serious. If you got your knee on the man's neck intentionally, and you cause his death, you should get the death penalty. I think police officers should be held way up here at the highest standard when you have people intentionally causing the death of somebody else. Not an accident. I thought he pulled out a gun. Those can be justifiable uses of force against individuals. But when you intentionally shoot a man in the back while he's running away, put the taser on him, you are intentionally and premeditating a murder, and you should be held to the highest standard. If this man was putting his knee in that man's neck, and he had reason to believe that man had any indication that he was having distress, which I think the world can see, you need to get life. You need to get the chair. You need to get the chair. It blows my mind that this police officer did this. Right or wrong or indifferent, it don't look
With his hand in his pocket, nonetheless.
good at all. at all, ladies and gentlemen. And you know they're gonna throw it. You know where they're coming from. Oh, this is Eric Garner. They put Emmett Till. They saying all kind of stuff. Now, this is not Eric Garner. This is a complete different situation. If you ask me, just because two men were saying they can't breathe, don't mean that they're similar. This was a
Two black men arrested by police officers that put them down in a move, and they both complained that they couldn't breathe, and they both died. It's kind of similar.
lot more egregious, a lot more obvious that this guy is impinging on possibly the blood flow or the air.
I guess what you should be asking yourself, former Officer Tatum, is like, should it be this egregious? Should it be this open? Should it be this extreme? And even if you say yes, he died, where is the marker from Eric Garner to George Floyd? You said they're not similar. They both were put in police moves. They both complained that they couldn't breathe. They both died. Where is the marker? I would like to know that.
Individual for several minutes. Eric Garner, the guy had his arm around his neck for 13 seconds. This was several minutes. Now let me get into a concept because we don't know why he died. How he died exactly, because he died at the hospital. He could have died from cardiac arrest because of the knee, or it could be a concept that we learned about excited delirium. Some people may not have never heard of this excited delirium, so let me explain it to you. This guy was also reported, George Floyd was also reported using drugs and high on drugs. And
Here's the slippery slope right here. This is where you got to slow stuff down when you guys watch stuff online. He just started this off saying, there's a possibility that it could be this. Then he said it was reported that it was this. Your brain is thinking on the what it could be. He's about to tell you what it could have been, what it was reported as. I don't know where he saw this information that this was reported as this, that cops get out of their car, walk up to a guy sitting in his car, and they're gonna automatically have the expertise to diagnose George Floyd as what he's about to say. Listen to him. Slippery slope here.
stuff like that. He obviously seemed like he was amped up on something at the time.
How can former Officer Tatum right here say it's obvious? Do you guys see how they trick you? It could have been, it was reported as, it's obvious. All right, go back to the evidence. He's on the ground complaining that he's hurting. The other video, as of May 28th of 2020, he's getting out of the car. They're pulling him to the wall. He's complaining that he's hurting, and he complies to everything they're saying, and they walk him to the other car. That's it, guys. How can former Officer Tatum see that and say that it's obvious that he's acting in the way he's about to describe?
Excited delirium is when you take these drugs like PCP, methamphetamine, and it raises your heart rate and it makes you super strong and you got adrenaline running through your body and you are hard to handle.
The funny thing is, if you debate former Officer Tatum, he's going to say these are the facts. And he's going to trick your brain by saying, because those are the facts. Those are the facts of how you act with what he just diagnosed. But what's not the facts is, does this have anything to do with George Floyd? Where is he getting this from? To go from it could have been to report it as to it's obvious to it's this.
Your body can't handle that. So what normally happens is a person is super strong, they're up here, and then they begin to crash. And as they're crashing, they never stop crashing. They go all the way to cardiac arrest. And in an academy, and what I have dealt with in my own personal experience as a police officer, is that you should know the signs of excited delirium or a potential excited delirium. So when you see a man super strong, you know he's high on drugs and he got all this energy, you should de-escalate once you have the man in custody, simply because he may be experiencing excited delirium. And if you don't get off his back, if you don't get your knee off his neck, it's gonna force the process of this decreasing of all of the internal organs, all the way to cardiac arrest. And people have died. Plenty of people. I saw videos in the academy. I dealt with people personally where they were experiencing excited delirium. So this officer, in my personal opinion, should have been thinking about excited delirium when this gentleman was fighting and doing all that crazy stuff, and he was potentially using drugs. So bad on the police officer, in my opinion. I don't know what his excuse is. I don't know what they're gonna say at the scene. I'm willing to change my argument if new information come out. But for right now,
that's the slippery slope right here. Hold on, let me put my man's George Floyd onto the slippery slope he did, and we're gonna go back to take it slow. Hold on, let me put my man George back one more time. Oh, not that far back. Hold on. Oh, okay, I got it. It's this one. Okay. Former Officer Tatum started as, could have been reported as, obviously, to now this. How do we know? How do we know? If I quickly say one thing, I put it in your brain, and I quickly explain a whole nother fact, and that whole fact sounds enticing to you, something like you want to hear, it sounds something of intelligence, it is merely masking the fact that you don't know if it's true or not. Am I making myself clear? Listen to this.
it looks like, it don't look good for them. Now let's talk about George Floyd.
This is my favorite part.
George Floyd. Now, you shouldn't be resisting arrest.
How of May 28th of 2020, again, do not come to my channel if somewhere on June 4th or whatever they show him beating the crap out of cops. I don't know what happened. Former Officer Tatum don't know what happened. But we have two videos as of May the 28th. Where on these two videos shows that he resisted arrest? Former Officer Tatum is the guy that tells y'all he only goes by facts. Where in the facts does it show that this guy resisted arrest? Please, someone show me this on these two videos we have sent out to the public as of May the 28th.
That's all I'm gonna say. Did that mean you deserve to die? Don't make me use bad words. Nobody's saying that anybody deserves to die. Only God has that barometer of choice to say who deserves to die or not. What I'm saying is that behaviors lead to faulty and bad situations.
He's right. He's only partially right. Behaviors lead to bad and faulty situations. Example number one. A normal cop who is not racist or sees anything wrong with people, he pulls the guy over and asks for his license. The guy gets nervous because he has prior criminal activity. He doesn't want the cop to find out. So the guy reaches for a gun to shoot the cop. The cop kills him dead. His faulty behavior led to his death. That's kind of what he's insinuating. But what he's leaving out is that it works both ways. A regular citizen speeding 10 miles, 11 miles over doesn't understand that he has a crazy cop outside of his door and he's done nothing wrong. He got his video camera started. He got his hands on the wheel, and this cop still harasses him and trying to find any kind of way to beat him down and put him in prison. He's giving you this half of an example as if a criminal can never be a police officer. As if a racist or a bad person, like the only bad person in a scenario when it comes to a cop and a civilian, has to be that civilian. I believe the words that former Officer Tatum is saying right now. I just believe that what he's saying applies to everyone, to include the police officers, while he's saying it must only apply to him. Because he only saw on a report that it said that this guy was resisting arrest. I don't know that. I thought you was innocent until proven guilty. I know that this is downtown. This is a lot of webcams, and we're going to get some future stuff. As former Officer Tatum says in all his videos, we should wait for. But he has already stated that this guy is resisting arrest. So because this guy did it, this is why this must have happened to him. He even goes further and tells you guys, If you can show him proof, he'll change his mind. Wait a minute. I thought former Officer Tatum knows you're innocent until proven guilty. It is up to them to change our mind and show us how this guy broke the law. Show us how this guy, George Floyd, resisted arrest. And if you cannot show us he didn't do it, he should know better.
If you're forging checks, I don't know if he is or not, but if he was forging a check, you do that, you resist arrest.
No proof. I'm going to stop him every time, because when you guys who like former Officer Tatum, you don't stop him, you keep watching, and he builds upon something smaller and gets you believing into something that's not true without the facts that he says he relies on. So every single time he alleges that George Floyd on May 28th of 2020 resisted arrest with no evidence, I'm going to stop and pause and tell you he didn't.
And then you get a bad cop, potentially a bad cop. That leads to your death. I don't know how many times people need to hear this. There's no reason for you to resist arrest.
There's no evidence to show, as of May 28th of 2020, that George Floyd resisted arrest.
It's okay to be mad. I got pulled over by a cop one time. He's the biggest a-hole I ever seen in my life.
He's already insinuating a fallacy. He has led you down the road that George Floyd has completely resisted arrest to show you, hey, it's cool that he did this bad thing. I don't think he should have died, but he did this bad thing and it could have prevented his death, when former Officer Tatum has no evidence to show, as of May 28th of 2020, that George Floyd did this bad thing.
I was mad, and when he left, I hoped that somebody killed him. I was so mad. But I'm not going to resist arrest. I'm not going to fight nobody. If you got the wrong man, you just got the wrong man, buddy. I ain't finna fight nobody because there ain't no winning. You're not going to win against a cop. You're not going to win if you're doing wrong, and you ain't going to win if you're doing right if you get a bad cop. No winning in that. I think he should have never.
I like that he snuck in, you're not going to win if you do right, even with a bad cop. But his video is about the alleged George Floyd doing wrong when he got a bad cop.
Resisted arrest because that led to this situation as well.
He just said again for the umpteenth time, as a fact, without any evidence, that George Floyd resisting arrest led to his death. Now can you see why this is dangerous and why I did an impromptu video at 3-something in the morning to show this?
And some people want to criticize and say, oh, man, I'm just keeping it real on both sides. Both parties can be wrong in the same situation. Not saying that he's wrong.
Yeah, to lessen the burden on the cops, which he's a former of, which we're going to get into his extreme right-wing views a little later in the video. He wants to make it even kill. It is so egregious on the police officer for killing this guy for no reason on a forgery check. I was almost said something, but I'm going to wait for that for the end of the video to say it, that he wants to make it even. The cop was dirty. He does this, and we're going to show one other video where he does this. When he sees something clearly wrong, he likes to pick two people wrong and talk about them both to lessen the burden on the person who was actually wrong. The cop is bad. George is bad because he resisted arrest, where we have no evidence that George ever resisted arrest. But watch him put him on the same kill.
Why he laying on with the handcuffs on his back, but you don't get in handcuffs if you don't fight police.
He just said, like, this is what he just said is the most dangerous thing to black American men. You don't get in handcuffs if you don't fight police. He just told to the entire world. It is a fact. Last time I checked, a police officer was a human being. When a human being is a baby, they grow up. Some of them, they become bullies. Some of them get picked on. They get beat up by the bullies. Some of those guys that get picked on, beat up by the bullies, some of those guys, they want to be some authoritative figure. Not all of them. All it takes is one single human being out of the hundreds of millions of human beings that's ever been police officers in the history of the entire world. All it takes is one cop to prove his theory wrong. Because he just said you only get in handcuffs if you resist arrest. Some of these guys grow up and they become jerks. They want to push the authority around because of what happened to them. Do you know why they do this? Because they're humans. And when you're dealing with a large number of humans, a lot of them are good, but some of them are bad. I don't care if we're talking about chefs, bar owners, firemen, strippers, or police officers. But he just told y'all it can't happen if you're a police officer. And this is the guy that people are saying that relies on facts. Any person that relies on facts would never say a group of people would never do an action. That's a fact.
Now let me move on. Let me move on. I think people need to stop trying to compare every police situation to the next. They talk about stuff in Ferguson. They're talking about Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. This is not in any of those states. You have different training, different states, different police.
This is childish now. Let's get in the time machine and go back to 1982, 83, 84. I would just like to talk to the head of the Florida investigations on the serial killer Ted Bundy, the head of the Washington and Oregon and Colorado. I just wish that you guys have never spoken to each other, because this is not the same case. These are in different states. Why are you guys looking at similar information? It's in different states. This is sad now. He's telling you that you should never compare two different cases if they're in different states. I know what he's getting at, but since he's not going to be brave enough to say what he's getting at, I'll play his childish game with him. I know what he's getting at. I'll handle him when he gets there. But for right now, this is what he's saying. We should never look at any case that's similar if it's in different states. Keep going, my brother. I would love to be able to cook out with Mr. Former Officer Tatum.
Officers, different municipalities. You're talking about a whole different state.
And keep going. That's why we have a Federal Bureau of Investigation. And last I checked, the Federal Bureau of Investigation that handles multiple states is actually assigned to this case. Former Officer Tatum.
Different laws, different training. We didn't have training where you can put your knee on somebody's neck. That wasn't even in our training. But apparently
according to your theory, you shouldn't be making this YouTube video. You're from another state. You didn't put your knee on the neck. This is posturing where he doesn't want to say what he really wants to say. But I'm quite sure with 4 minutes left, he'll say what he's going to say. If not, I got another video I'm going to show y'all anyway.
They can do that. It's a low-level use of force. And they're trained to put their knee on your neck without applying pressure to cause harm. I don't know if that's going to be his defense. I don't know. But it looks bad. People need to stop comparing these situations. This is not Eric Garner. Every white cop ain't out here killing black men.
This is one thing I do notice, that people they become who they fear. They have this fear that some quote unquote other side always brings race into it. So because they fear this other side always brings race into it, they jump without looking specifically into the details to say that race had nothing to do with this. How does former Officer Tatum know that race has nothing to do with this? He don't have all the facts. How does former Officer Tatum doesn't know that the police officer, I can't think of his name right now, wasn't sea-walking at a KKK rally the night before? He doesn't know anything. He is rushing to throw away race because of his fear, his political fear that he has, because of whatever political stance he has in his videos that he preaches about, that people are going to rush to say that race has something to do with it. I may say it right here, but I may hold it. I think I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it. But we'll see. Let's see what he says.
They're using isolated situations to promote an agenda. Ladies,
The man that proudly says the word conservative unconservatively in all his videos, t-shirts, and everything is saying that someone else is promoting an agenda. The man who proudly promotes an agenda is saying that he fears a hit dog will holler. A hit dog will holler, man. It is so hard for me to hold in what I want to say because he opened so many times for me to say it, but I'm going to try to hold it.
Chicago, 10 people got killed, 40-some shootings.
Why do they always say this? If you go back and watch my Ahmaud Arbery video, my last one I went off, I rapped at the end. Someone said that, why don't you talk about all the killings? Because they don't listen. The second half of that song was talking about police killing black people. The middle of that song shows you how a baby can turn to a thug. The best stuff, they make up a Tesla instead of laws that stop slugs from chest busts. It feels like there's no help they've left us unless dunk a touchdown when dressed up. A mess blood is spread on a dresser when a small kid sees that what they think of. They grow up with pride max and chest up, then transforms to what others think of. Other people think of us as thugs. Lost cause. They transform into that from the hatred that build up, from the murders and killings they see like in Chicago. The whole song about that. But what do people like former Officer Tatum do? They go out and they assert that you only speak about one thing, which is a fallacy within itself. It is a fallacy because you're using that to mask the point that you're talking about. Instead of disputing the points of what someone says, you throw another topic on top to mask and put down that. That is clearly a fallacy, what he's using, which is not using facts, which he claims that he always uses. There are black people. I'm not going to see black people. I'm not going to go down his rabbit hole. There are people in the world that can care about multiple things. And at this particular point of what's going on with this knee in the back of George Floyd's head, this is what we're talking about in this situation. And we can go in that other situation and we can talk about all of these things if we truly don't have an agenda or a party that we're trying to push, but we just want people to not die. We just want people to be treated fairly. This is the way that we go. But when you have an agenda, you assume everybody else does. Just keep going. Former Officer Tatum.
And I'm watching pastors talk more about this case than about the degradation. I don't even care if they were black. 10 people getting killed over Memorial Day weekend in shootings. It's blowing my mind. I don't know what's going on in Chicago where every Memorial Day they're nearly breaking records in shootings and murders.
The reason you probably don't know about that is because the only reason you look into it is to pull out this point. What have you done? The same thing you do for your campaign party or your right side or your conservatism. What have you done to really try to help Chicago, to really try to help these neighborhoods? I don't know. I don't want to seem like I'm putting his brother down, man, because he ain't. Former Officer Tatum ain't out here killing people. Seems like a well-kept, nice young brother. So I got to get that clear. But I'm like, if you only use the killings in Chicago as a political point to try to silence other people that point out other atrocities, do you really care?
Pastors get on there, our condolences go out to George Floyd. This is such an injustice. And they got 10 people in their own city that got murdered for no reason.
Here's one thing I can't say. These pastors that come out, like the black guy, I don't know his name, the bald head, he be on all these cases. A misjustice has to happen in the police. So, like, let's say before Ahmaud Arbery, the last one was a Tatiana. Happened in October, right? November. And then nothing big until right now with George Floyd, right? So these black pastors that former Officer Tatum was talking about, they aren't in a coffin like a vampire waiting for the next big CNN racist news story. They're in their neighborhoods. They're in Chicago. They're helping these atrocities that happen with black on black crimes. And let's not pretend that black on black crime is the biggest crime amongst what we call a race against each other, because we don't have the bigger numbers. There are more white on white crimes than anything not because white people are worse, or it's just because there are more white people in the country. So they're not just sitting back waiting for the next thing. They're always busy doing something, and you can go and check the things that they do in their neighborhoods and in their communities and the places that they go and speak to try to stop these things. The question is, what are we going to do? I love to do more. I don't want to just sit on YouTube and do these things. You know, anything that former Officer Tatum want to think of, I join and do it with him. But we can't just sit up here and act like we care, and when we're so shocked about these numbers of Chicago killings in Chicago, if we're only going to use it to mask over this. Why don't former Officer Tatum make a video about Chicago on Chicago crimes? Why is he only talking about this? I ain't even seen all his videos, but I'm willing to take him out. A wild guess that if I were to go back and watch any kind of big police crime against a black person and big argument, I guarantee you, on majority of those videos, former Officer Tatum is going to bring up the point of black on black crime. Do you really care if you do that? Come on, man.
I'm not saying you can't do both, but at least have the same outrage for both.
Do you have the same outrage for both?
For the love of God, it makes me so upset when I see people pushing an agenda. When I see
You're pushing an agenda, and that's not my opinion. That is a fact coming from you. You're literally pushing an agenda, and you do it proudly.
people being so upset because it was a white cop and a black man.
You're so upset that it was a white cop and a black man. You don't want that white cop to be on him. Now, this is my opinion. When you get into these political standpoints, such as former Officer Tatum, it's not what, it's why. I don't want a white cop to put his knee and kill a black man like that, because I don't want to see anybody being treated unfairly for the color of their skin. Is it the same for you, former Officer Tatum? And I'm only asking a question. Or do you not want to see a white cop put his knee on a black man's neck so blatantly, in this case, as you said, because that white police officer, which tends to lean towards white right-wing conservative, as you love and you promote and you have an agenda for right-wing conservative, hurts your quote-unquote side. I don't have a side. I'm not left. I'm not liberal. I'm not independent. I'm not conservative. I'm not anything. I'm just a person that looks at what's going on in the world. But you, my sir, have an agenda. Does it bother you that if this person is bad, it hurts your agenda, which is why you want to throw another topic on this that you don't even care enough about to make it its own video? If you see this and you rebuttal back, I have other videos in the past. You have other cop crimes against other people in the past too. Why can't you make a new one? Why is it only masked by this?
The race has nothing to do with this.
My friend Stephanie Harlow said something very important to me. She's like, when she was talking about Ahmaud Arbery case, she was like, no one can say that they're completely racist, just like you can say that they're completely not racist. It would be stupid. You don't know these people. Former Officer Tatum met these police officers 2 days ago when this happened. How can he get on a video and say that race has nothing to do with it? He's mad at people for automatically saying that race has something to do with it. And I will scientifically, before this video is over with, introduce how race may have something to do with it. May have something to do with it. It does have something to do with it. I will scientifically say this. But he is telling you for 100% fact that race does not have something to do with it. And he doesn't even know these people. And this is a guy who is trusted as a police officer to investigate with details.
Nothing. Unless you can prove to me that this officer is some racist, and he said he was, has nothing to do with race. This is a situation of what I believe, and I will change my tune if I hear something new, a bad police officer. He would have put his knee on a white man's neck. He would have put on a Jewish.
How does he know?
man's neck. He would have put it on the imam's neck. He would have put it on anybody's neck. The dude don't seem like he's a good.
Former Officer Tatum, did you just say the dude don't seem? Let's rehearse what you know of the dude. You know, former police officer, since he's fired and investigated by the FBI that covers cases that's dealing with more than one state. Did you just say the dude don't seem? What do you know about him? You know what? You want to know what I know about him? I know in 2011, he shot someone who was fleeing the scene, and it was investigated. If I say that to you, you rebuttal back to me, oh, but he was acquitted. So him being acquitted means he didn't do anything wrong, right? According to you, because that's what you say. You quickly shoot that back. Okay, well, in this situation, he's fired. Possibly more to come. He's no longer a police officer. So if we go by the outcome of what the department does, but you said the dude don't seem. Outside of him shooting another person fleeing the scene, the only thing you know about him, former Officer Tatum, as of May 28th of 2020, is that he knows how to sit still as a man dies with his knee on his neck, with his hands in his pocket, with the crowd cheering and saying, he's dying. Y'all just killed this man. He can't breathe. You know nothing else about him. So if it isn't about an agenda, why are you saying these facts as if you know this guy? Where's your information coming from, former Officer Tatum? You allege that you go off facts. Where's this information coming from?
Cop of integrity from what I see. So just because this man black don't mean nothing. Let me finish with this thought. All y'all out here saying, and it makes me mad, I gotta critique it. All the people out here saying, oh, the black man. Well, listen, people. I almost call y'all fools. Listen for 1 second. Who do you think are patrolling the black community? Who else is gonna arrest you when you do something you ain't supposed to be doing? The white people who signed up to be cops.
What does this have to do with it? I'm totally lost. What does this have to do with anything?
Why don't none of y'all sign up and patrol your own community so you don't have your community patrolled by all white people, and then when something happens?
Maybe because we live in a country where there's only 13% black Americans. As a matter of fact, I'd be interested to see what the police department numbers are. White, black, Asian. I would assume it's going to fall in line with those same amount of numbers, which means you're going to have like 80% or some odd or more, maybe 70% white people, that if you got all of these ghettos and these black urban communities, that they're going to be white people in. This, I would agree, has nothing to do with race. This is mere numbers, math. What are you talking about, former Officer Tatum? Where did you patrol, Officer Tatum, when you was a police officer? You said that you was on a SWAT unit. So if you was on a SWAT unit, you went out to those big, deadly calls. That means that you wasn't out in the neighborhoods in the black portion patrolling all the time, even though you was a black police officer, even though a black police officer was there when this happened. So what are you talking about, man? What is this whole rant about? What does this have to do with this guy putting his knee on his neck until he died? You're trying to mask, which is ironic because you're trying to mask it with race. You're the one that's using race.
Happens, you act like they had other options of people to shoot, to arrest, to chase you. As if white people are coming from the north side of town just to patrol the black community. Come on, man. I'm sick of the race baiting stuff.
I grew up in Macon, Georgia, which is funny. Somebody put a map up on Facebook, the worst city in each state. So they put like a state in one city, whatever the worst city. So in Georgia, Macon, the worst city. When I got in my 20s, when I was in the military, in the Air Force and everything, even in high school, when I went to the hood, the cops were black. Because there was a lot of black people in Macon. It's just numbers, dude. It's just numbers. What does this have to do with what you're talking about? Who sent you an email? Who sent you a message that made you go off at the end of this and saying that, like, that everybody mad that white people are the police instead of black people being the police. Where did this come from with this case? Make it make sense to me, former Officer Tatum.
Police officers are normally organized in precincts. So the officers that are assigned to this precinct patrols this area. And if every officer in that precinct is white, what other options do you have?
Who said that there are other options? Like, no one is complaining that we need way more black cops. We're not complaining for more black cops. We're complaining that we just want to be treated equal. Listen, former Officer Tatum, I don't know you, but you just said a lot of information about people you don't know, and you made up stuff about them with zero evidence. How would you like it if I said that you made minimum amount of money as a SWAT officer, and then when you blew up talking about right-wing politics, you start making thousands of dollars and thousands of people donating and thousands of people giving to your gift shop, so much that you will continue this trend no matter what? You wouldn't like it if I said that about you, right? So why are you doing the same thing, man? You wouldn't like it if I just said that this was your agenda. So why are you doing this, man? You wouldn't like it if I say that your financial growth makes you not care about the individuals. How did you feel, former Officer Tatum, if you saw the video footage of George Floyd's fiance in Texas sitting on that bench crying and talking, or the pictures I'm showing here of him and his fiance? When they call him Gentle Giant, how did you feel? Did you just wake up and in less than 24 hours think that you knew the mind of the police officer that did this enough to go on some racist tyrant? Because you're the one that's going on a racist tyrant. I'm looking at the facts shown in the video here, man. This was wrong. You don't want people to throw extra stuff on wrong? You just want them to call it for being wrong? Practice what you preach, my brother. This is wrong. You don't have to ask where the other cops are, colors, and all of this stuff in the suburban neighborhoods. We get math. We know math. We're not stupid.
And people are acting like there's 45,000 black people on your police department, and then only the white ones go in the area and shoot up everybody. Bro, the police department has X amount of people, and X amount of people are white, and X amount of people are black. What do you expect them to do? Get off your rear end and go apply for the police department. You can patrol your own community so people can stop saying the white man on the black man.
Black people do this. That's why they're black police officers. You should know. You used to be one of them until you gave up your badge to go to a certain side to promote an agenda. Not my opinion. That's what you said.
I'm done. Y'all comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I can make a whole nother video about the just the veins popping in my neck with this racist BS.
Yeah, your video is all about race, and your video rarely stuck to the facts that a man, a human being, a humanoid, as of May 28th, the evidence show, a gentle giant lost his life for no reason.
Call a bad cop a bad cop. Call a criminal a criminal. Call a bad cop.
All right, so what we're going to do to end this video, and this is where I'm going to talk about race, in my opinion, myself, on this. I want, because two racially motivated things in the press happened. This situation happened with this, and also another situation happened with a white woman in the park with her dog not being on a leash. And this was way more shocking what former Officer Tatum had to say, and I'm going to call him out on it. So let's watch this one.
video, comment on this video, share this video. And we are sitting here in 2020. I'm making a video about it because everybody talking about it. Of people getting into a dispute over whether somebody got a dog leash on a dog or not, and that turned into a white supremacy in America. Listen, let me tell you this. Let me give you my thoughts on this. I think the dude that was videotaping was Karen number one. Okay, Karen number one is that guy who, the little fluffy dog don't have a leash on it, and this man is going to make sure he finds you, hunts you down, and make sure you got a leash on your dog.
This is child's play. This is picking on a freaking kid. To me, picking on former Officer Tatum this way, because this is a guy who said that he goes off facts. And look what he says at the video to make this. The ways he stretches, which I don't want to assume something about somebody's personality, but look, the way he's stretching the guy who called the police on the person breaking the law to be this horrible person. I don't want to say this former Officer Tatum guy don't care about anything but making his money off YouTube on a right-wing political agenda. He just said that this guy went out of his way. Now let's look at the real facts. This black, calm man goes to this bird spot all the time. This is where he goes to feed the pigeons. Since so many people in New York go to this ramble to feed the pigeons, somewhere in the law, people decided that we're going to make sure that all pets stay on a leash. These are facts. This is the guy who says he wants to go on facts. I'm not saying nothing about this black man's personality. I'm saying the facts. He goes here often to feed pigeons. So how did he chase a woman down so he can be a Karen? How? If you go to feed pigeons every day in a spot and there's a big posted sign to keep your dog on a leash. Now there's one more thing. And he ain't said but one sentence. One more thing. This isn't a regular little cute poodle. Look at how that dog was going crazy as she was choking and strangling him. Look at how that dog. Can you imagine how that dog would act if she would have let go his leash? I could only imagine what this citizen saw. But according to former Officer Tatum, this guy chased a woman down. He has no evidence. He hasn't read no police report. But this is the guy that goes off facts.
Now, I'm all for following the law. She should have had a leash on the dog. No ifs, ands, or buts. She should have got a ticket for it. But you got to go out your way to confront her and get into a peeing match with a...
How did he confront her and get into a peeing match? He saw someone breaking the law. The same kind of law as former Officer Tatum said the McMichaels did when they rightfully chased down Ahmaud Arbery. How do you pick and choose? Because I don't want to accuse you of picking and choosing what goes with the right-wing conservative agenda. How do you pick and choose your cases when you want to say someone calling the police on someone is a good thing or bad thing? Actually, he didn't even call the police. She did. Let's find out why she called the police.
With a lady for a leash on a dog? Okay, I'll get over there. And then Karen number two. She had to ultra Karen him. She had to one up him. I feel like it's whack that he videotaping somebody that don't know have a leash on a dog.
This is where every time he does something is one statement that scares me because it's dangerous. There are going to be black people that's listening to him that's going to think he's right and they're going to put their lives in danger. He's saying that it's crazy that with no witnesses around, in a wooded area, in a park, it is wrong for a man to start recording to protect himself. Because without this recording is his word against her word. He's telling you that it's wrong for this man to start recording. He acts as if this man started recording as if he know for a fact to get famous. There's no other options. There's no protect yourself. This video here, we at 1 minute and 37 seconds, is extremely dangerous. And you gotta be careful who you listen to on YouTube because you could lose your life.
And making a big fuss out of it. And she had to go full stupid. And I'm saying full stupid. And I know for a fact, and I can put this in context so nobody get misconstrued, he did slightly threatening her or did a passive threat towards her dog.
This is a former police officer. Now, he just alleged that a man threatened a dog. I didn't even know you can threaten a dog. But listen to how far he stretched this. He just put out a claim, this former police officer. Now, on the Ahmaud Arbery case in Georgia, what did former police officer Tatum do? He went and looked up the statutes in Georgia. What did he just do on the last case in Milwaukee? He looked up the statutes. But now here in New York, he's going to tell you how this black man legally threatened a dog, which is impossible.
Because when she didn't have it on a leash, he said, since you're going to do what you want to do, and this is statements that's in the article.
He did not say that. Former Officer Tatum is lying on this guy, and this guy should see this video because this is wrong what former Officer Tatum is doing. This guy that never said, since you're going to do what you're going to do, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. He's trying to make you all see this guy hostile. And I wish I didn't do it live. I wish I would have edited this to show you how this guy looks and his mannerism. This guy was trying to persuade his energetic dog. And I'm saying energetic going based upon the evidence there with his owner who refused to put him on a leash. I'm giving you background to how I'm basing my decision. Not just making stuff up out of thin air like former Officer Tatum is doing. The guy to move the hyper energetic dog away from the birds that this dog could eat and bite. He took out snacks to try to get the dog away from that area to not mess up the marsh and everything that they put out there, since she couldn't do it because she didn't have the dog on a leash like the sign said. This is the reasoning that the black guy said it. The white woman who owned the dog, she never gave any reasoning to say anything otherwise. So if there's only the black guy saying why he fed the dog to get the dog away, and the white woman owner has said nothing in rebuttal, everything that former Officer Tatum is telling you guys is a freaking lie.
Since you want to do what you want to do, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and you ain't gonna like it. And I don't know if
Look at that flair, that substance. I'm going to do what I want to do, and you ain't going to like it. And then watch the Black Eyes interview. I wish I should pull it up. Watch how it's nothing aggressive or anything like he's saying. But go do your own research. I'm glad I don't have it. Do your own research and watch this guy. This video is horrible what he's made.
if he got the dog over there to give him a treat or whatever, which I think was inappropriate because she don't know what she's doing with the dog. Then she flips out. She start getting in full panic mode. Then he turns the camera on. And what does Karen number 2 do? She go to her de facto race card. I mean, I think it was racist what she said. Is she explicitly a racist and she would only do this to a black person? No.
How does he know? If we go off the evidence, she knew she has a privilege as a white woman alone in the ramble with a black man that she can call the police officer and get him in trouble. Why am I saying this? What is this based upon? This is based upon her action of actually doing it. Not just doing it, but telling the black man before she do it. I'm going to call the police officer and I'm going to say this. This is based upon her getting louder, crying, sounding more scared while he's simply holding a camera. But look what former Officer Tatum tells you.
Nah. People like her will probably do this to anybody in the park. People like him will probably do this to anybody.
I believe him. I believe that this black citizen who goes to feed these pigeons in this place that they come to go to be fed by human beings, and it has made such a big commotion that the city of New York declared to keep this area safe so these citizens can have this relationship with these birds every day without anybody bothering them, that a dog must be kept on a leash, and we will put a sign up here that a dog kept on a leash. I believe, since this black man is not prejudiced, that any bird person, it could have been me, it could have been an Asian woman, he was going to do the same thing. I just don't see a problem with that. Former Officer Tatum shouldn't see a problem with it, since every video he covers, he likes to rely upon the person simply followed the law. But for some reason, he doesn't want to do it on this video.
Not just because she white, it's because he's a Karen. And not just because he's black, because she threw out what she felt like would hurt his feelings, because she was flustered. So she threw out a racist thing, being flustered and he's awkward, I don't have no social skills moment.
How does he know about her social skills? How does he know anything about this woman other than what she displayed? This woman was a vice president. I don't know. I heard one article say she was fired. One article saying she's on administrative leave. This woman was a vice president of a advertisement firm, I think. Those are the facts. And he's telling you her mental makeup and how she does with social interactions when this is her only social interactions. This is the guy that y'all say relies on facts for cases.
And she go, African-American man is, okay, we get it, we get it. She clearly tried to throw a low blow at the man because she didn't get her way and he wouldn't stop recording her. Shame on her. She lost her job, that's what you get. That's what you get. I don't know what to tell you. You should have had the leash on the dog, then you wouldn't have been confronted by nobody, and then you wouldn't have been choking the dog and having the dog strangling and lost your dog and your job. I'm just saying. And I don't want to hear nobody on Karen number one side trying to say, oh, the racist white man, you should have had no business messing with that white woman if you didn't want to say nothing crazy to you. I hope you're not out there trying to play the victim after trying to get her agitated and then record her.
I'm not going to even say race, because the two videos I saw, the person who's always saying people throwing up race is the main person leaning behind race. Screw race. I don't even need race. Except for when she became racist. But prior to her being racist, he's upset that a human being goes to a place where they can relax, where birds come to. The city of New York recognizes birds come to this place and they feed them. And he said, because this man is getting a different experience, and the different experience that this man is getting is only caused by someone breaking the law. Had she kept her dog on a leash, like many of millions of people do, hundreds of people that walk past, probably when this man is there feeding his birds, the experience would have been the same. The experience is different because this dog is off the leash. He doesn't know how many chances he gave this woman. I mean, go back and look at the clip and look how energetic that dog. I can only imagine, but dog don't even have to be crazy. He can be the most calm dog ever. He said that this man went out his way to agitate this woman. How does he know that? He could have just turned around and said, hey, can I keep your dog on your leash over here? Is that going out of your way? It's sad because people come to me all the time and say, you gotta watch Officer Tatum, he goes off facts. Does it look like it in the two videos I've shown?
Both of them should be ashamed of themselves. Both of them. We shouldn't even be talking about.
He just said that this guy should be ashamed of himself for following the law.
These two idiots in a park.
Then he just called him an idiot. This went viral because the black guy, his sister, is a filmmaker, a poet. These are educated black people, his sister and the black man. When this video go off, go find videos where he's giving interviews and where he's talking. And as you hear this educated black man talk, contrast that to how former Officer Tatum is saying, I'm going to agitate. I'm an idiot. I'm going to harass this woman. I'm going to go tit for tat for her. I'm going to record her. This is embarrassing.
handle your dispute between one another. Karen, you need to put the dog on a leash. No, you're not gonna put the dog on a leash. I'm just gonna call the authorities and they're gonna come here and give you a ticket. And I guarantee you she would have put the dog on a leash. She don't want no ticket. But no, they can't.
He just guarantees you this woman's action. Contrast his guarantee of a stranger that he doesn't know to the video that you saw when this calm man with this calm voice is trying to get her to just simply put the dog on a leash. It looks as if she's so defiant, she's twisting her fingers around in the collar, getting her whole wrist twisted up with the leash in his hand. All she has to do is snap, got the dog. But she's so defiant against this man asking her to follow New York City's law. But from this, look at what he drew.
They do that, they got to get into a pen match and they got to start yelling and somebody got to be racist.
The black guy never yelled. So this is a lie that he's conjured in his head. He never yelled. This is a literal lie.
And this is the race war all over again. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Your video is ridiculous, man. It's enough to lose respect for you in a way.
How do we keep falling for this stuff? Lost her job, lost her dog.
She should have.
That's what she gets.
She should have.
Do I think that explicitly she's a racist? No, she'd have done that.
If I were to go by the only thing I know of this complete stranger and her action, it looks as if she's a racist. I don't have anything to go off of except for the video shown, which is the same thing he's going off of.
At the part, because she's one of them people that lack what we call integrity.
She does lack integrity. So if you lack integrity, how can you speak of her to have more integrity in one area than the other one?
None. And for all of y'all out here trying to make this a race baiting situation, go sit down somewhere.
How is anyone trying to make a race baiting situation when a white woman tells a black man, I'm going to call the police and tell them that an African American male threatened me, which he did not. She said she apologized for. He did not. Then she gets on the phone and she tells him that. Then she cranks it up only because she can't control her dog that she just won't clack on the leash. She cranks it up, cries really hard. This is African man mess in the ramble. We didn't bring in race. This vice president brought in race. He didn't bring in race. He didn't say, I as a black man would like for you to put your dog on a leash. He said nothing about race. You know who brought in race? The woman who you're doing the same thing as you did in the first video. You can't defend her actions, but what you can do for your right-wing agenda thing you got going on, instead of defending her actions, you want to try to bring him down to her level to say that they're both idiots. You called the man who called in, who he didn't even call in. He just asked her to put a dog on a leash because it's against the law. And you called him an idiot.
Quit trying to hoodwink. Nobody care about these two people in the park having a dispute over a dog leash. Video got 20-something million views. People are crying over, I'm so distraught. Man, y'all would not make it in the 60s. You mad because a woman said,
we're not supposed to make it in the 60s. The 60s are supposed to be the 60s. You know, I don't want to go back to that form of racism. Are we supposed to be sad that we wouldn't make it in a time that should never, ever, ever, ever again appear in America? I don't get what you're saying. You're trying to isolate this as one incident, and that people are outraged over this one incident. You're treating this one incident as if it's weather. It's just raining today. It doesn't rain all the time. We're telling you it's freaking England. The climate is rain. Climate of a black person doing anything is always magnified. This is the part where I say I bring in science, as I did on my last video. There's scientific tests that show how humans in America view black Americans. Scientific tests. I won't get into the details. If you want to see the actual test, go to the middle of my last video I made on Ahmaud Arbery, and it shows when white people try to match good words with a black face, they have a harder time doing it when matching with good words with a white face. The fact that she felt that she could add on African American man and can get them to come to the scene. You always say they didn't come. It doesn't matter if they came or not. What matters is her intent. Why did she feel this way? Because this actually happens in the country that we live in. You seem so intelligent. I know you see it. And this is just my opinion. I could be wrong. I actually would like to be wrong. I don't think that you care. I think that you see capitalism as a dog-eat-dog world, and I found me an avenue where I can make it to the top. It may shit on other people. Bad stuff may happen to even more black people if a lot of more people believe in how I feel or see it, or how I can gain a bigger audience and make them say, well, this is what he said and he's black, so it can't be racist in no situation. But you get to eat off that. Your children get to eat off that if you have it. I don't know. Your wife get to eat off that. You get to live a nice life to what you said in your video. You want to be a millionaire. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. But when something is this blatant, when you hone your channel off taking up for people and saying that you guys can't get mad because all they did was follow the law, this is the law, and all this man did was follow the law, so all of a sudden you have a change of heart to call a man an idiot? A Karen? My prudent brain thinks you have an agenda. This is impromptu. I don't want to talk about these two cases. I'm going to get on to other true crime videos, and as we learn more information, you may hear from me on different kind of forms of social media. If you like to talk about this in detail any further, you can go to my Facebook group, Former Officer Tatum. If you see this and you like to have a discussion on it, I'd be more than happy to. I don't like when you had the discussion with that guy who said he was a lawyer about the Ahmaud Arbery case. He came in a defensive kind of tone. I don't think the conversation needs to be in a defensive kind of tone just because people have two contrasting ideas, especially if you really support the ideas that you're saying. You can have an intelligent conversation that can be good for everybody. I'm more than willing to do that. So wish you well and everybody else who watched this 1 hour and almost 18-minute video. And as always, don't kill. Make a sandwich. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.